Hey, welcome to Luke's Dev Lab. Great to have you here. My name's Luke, and in this video we're going to be looking at Qwen 3.827b Cold Fusion Gain version 1.1 NM DAU Neo Max MTP by DavidAU. Rolls off the tongue. Let's go. So here is the model in question that we're going to be running. If you've been around here for a while, you might remember I did a video on Fable Fusion, which was actually quite decent. So this is by the same creator. So this is Cold Fusion. Obviously this is now based on the Qwen 3.8. So there's a bunch of claims on here about Cold Fusion has 1/5 in some cases, as low as 1/10 to a half of the thinking tokens. So that was one of the things, right? We use a lot of context on this model. So if we can get a fifth, half, a tenth, I don't know which it is, of the thinking tokens used up, that would be pretty nice. And if we maintain the intelligence, of course. So for this video, there's no Q4KXL quantization available from DavidAU. So I'm going to go with IQ4NL because this should be probably the most intelligence of all the 4 bits that we have available here. So I'm going to go with that one for this video. So we'll go with our usual test suite in this video. So we'll test the prefill and the decode. And I've made a bit of a change to this one now so I can show you my cached versus non-cached prefill. The memory test where we fill up the context and get it to find data. Agency for a quick check on if the model is capable of tool calling. OpenAI HumanEval, which is 164 Python challenges, but I'm probably going to ditch this soon because it's probably in model training data. Kanban, which is a good test of the front-end capabilities. SAM Physics and Dungeon Crawler, which will test algorithmic mathematical capabilities of the model. And then Blender and Godot for some MCP challenges. And then obviously this is going to involve much more complex tool calling. Quick look at system specs. So for performance-related benchmarks, I'm using this system locally. I've got the RTX 2000 Ada generation GPU, so that's got 16 gigs of VRAM. It's about 225 to 250 gigabytes of memory bandwidth. And then I've got 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM. Now I do also use cloud compute sometimes for long-running tests, but when I do use cloud compute, the settings stay the same, so the only thing that gets boosted is speed and not quality. Okay, so let's jump into the benchmarks for the model. So performance test first. So again, we're at IQ4NL. I've got the context 130K and we've got our prefill first. So this is the speed at which the model will ingest tokens such as your prompt or a code base. So on previous videos, I've always showed this uncached and a lot of you have commented like, wow, your prefill's so slow, you should do this, do that. It's because I'm doing uncached because I want to see the raw performance. But I've decided to also include the cached prefill as well now. So at a small prefill, we're getting 95 uncached, 845 cached. Coming up to a larger prefill, I'm getting 100 non-cached, and then just under 25,000 tokens with cached prefill. And again, this is on the RTX 2000 Ada, which is a workstation GPU. If you've got a gaming GPU with 16 gigs of RAM, you've probably got faster memory bandwidth than me, which will affect decode, which is the token output. So for me, I'm getting 4.2 on this model, and I have included the MTP as well in my config. So this one is definitely slower than the base model for me. Onto our memory test next. So for this one, we fill up the context of the model and then we insert a piece of data either at 0, 25, 50, 75 or 100% of depth. And then we ask the model to find that data and we do it 3 times at each depth, gives us a total of 15 runs. So what this is telling us is the model has perfectly found the data at every depth on every run. So that's why we've just got a straight line, 100% across the chart. And if we look at the responses from the model, these are very, very clean outputs as well. There's no thinking padding around it. So yeah, very good on the memory for this. We'll jump into the agency benchmark now. So this is a simple tool calling exercise where we put the model in a fake company sandbox, give it a bunch of tools and run it through a bunch of scenarios. You can find an overview of this test in the GitHub down below if you want to read more. So we've got a 90% pass rate, 44 out of 49, which feels a little bit behind the base model and probably just a slight touch behind other models in this weight class. They usually score 47 or 48, sometimes even 49. So it's not too bad, but you can see the overall metrics here. But again, let's not dwindle on this because this is quite a simple tool calling exercise. We'll get into the more advanced tool calling when we do MCP later anyway. Whenever I'm prepping a new video, stopping everything to manually hunt down model quants, direct download links, and llama CPP configs on Hugging Face totally kills my momentum. That's why today's sponsor, Lite, is such an efficiency boost for my workflow. It's a Chromium browser engineered specifically for you and your AI agents to share. Right now, I'm running Gemma 4 26B A4B locally to power my assistant. While I keep outlining my video notes, I just tell Gemma to spin up Lite in the background. With a single click, Lite inherits your Chrome session, cookies, and logins, so the agent navigates Hugging Face without hitting 2FA or login blocks. And because it runs in isolated background spaces, you can actually have multiple agents running tasks in parallel, like grabbing model configs in one space and scraping research in another, all without touching your open tabs or stealing your mouse cursor. The secret to its performance comes down to token efficiency. Instead of the traditional slow CLI loop, where an agent has to call a tool, inspect the DOM output, and make another request every single step, Lite exposes browser capabilities as direct.js functions. The model writes one snippet of code that runs in a single shot, cutting out constant round trips while using kernel level snapshots to strip out DOM noise. That's how it gets up to 3.45 times faster while burning significantly fewer tokens. You can wire it right into your local setup with npx skills, add citrolabs/ego-lite, or trigger it directly via /ego-browser. Lite is 100% free, runs completely locally on Mac, so your browsing data stays private, and eliminates so much friction when prepping projects. Check out the link down in the description or the pinned comment, or head to lite.ego.app to try it out. Massive thanks to Citrolabs for sponsoring this video. And then lastly, for our benchmarks, we're going to look at the OpenAI HumanEval. So this is 164 handwritten Python challenges from the people over at OpenAI. So I've got this link down below if you want to read on this or run it for yourself. And as I said, I'll probably retire this test soon because it's almost certainly in the training data. So if we jump into our results, this is actually excellent. So this is done even better than the base model. We've got a 91% pass rate with a 100% answer rate, which is really, really good. So a lot of models will not get a 100% answer rate. But maybe this 3.8 generation of models and going forwards, we are going to see better answer rates. So when we do see an answer rate that is low, it generally means the model gets stuck thinking too much. So maybe this is showing us that this model, it really is not spending as much tokens thinking. So it's a good start. Now let's move on to some coding. So we're going to look at our Kanban first. So this is a good test on the model's front-end capability, and this is what it has produced. So it's produced a good result. Now we are coding in Py for this video, and what I did notice while the model was coding this was on X high, it got stuck in a loop. So you can see here we are looping, and I had to intervene with the model after I realized it was stuck in a loop. So this is why it's not good sometimes to walk away from the computer when these are building. So here, I realized, I interrupted, I told it was stuck in a loop, and then after that, it was able to proceed with getting out of the loop immediately until eventually it came down to the finished result here. So we have our total context used at 44.3% on this model. So compared to the base Qwen model, this did 86.8% on this one. So this does show a 50% reduction in token usage, which is really good to see. But of course, it did get stuck in a loop. And well, it used a lot of tokens in that loop actually. So it could be a lot less actually than half. And then looking at the result, it's done a really nice job here. So I have already gone through this and tested it, and one of the only things I could notice that was off about this was that you cannot seem to be able to create a new column. That's the only feature. But I do really like when you're moving a card, you get like a faded outline of the card where it's going to be placed. That's a really nice touch. So all the functionality is working, except for adding a new column doesn't seem to be possible. I cannot find a way how to do it. It's almost perfect in a single shot other than that. So that's our result for Kanban. It definitely used a lot less tokens, but it got stuck in a loop and it needed to be pushed. And I will say that I am testing in X high for today's video because we used X high for the base model, so that makes it a fair comparison. So let's move on. So on to sand physics now. So this one has come through to the end on 60% of our context used versus 75% on the base model. So a slight reduction in tokens used, but not a massive reduction. And then if we look at our result, it's pretty good. It's built some demo content here. It's made like a little swimming pool for the water there, which is kind of fun. And you can put the sand in rather, and it pushes the water out, which is good. So everything does work. I have gone through and tested this, and it's all good, fully functional. Now, it's not as good, I would say, as the base model in that there's no keyboard shortcuts, there's no pause functionality, but other than that, it's very good. Visually, it looks nice. There's like animation on the acid like there is on the base model too, which is really cool. On the base model, it added like a glow effect. On this, it's like almost like an animation is the best way to describe it, I think. But yeah, this is very good. And it did use slightly less tokens to do sand physics than the base model, but not a lot less. I'm not sure if it's really showing a huge advantage on this test. So we're into our dungeon crawler test now, so this is a good one with the algorithmic capabilities of the model. So this one completed in 75.7% of our context used. Now on the base model it only used 42.5 in this test, so this is considerably more tokens used. And then if we look at our result, it's fine. I would say not as good. So we had like a nice glow over in our base model. And also I've noticed in this one, the ray casting is not perfect. So as you can see there, we've got a shadow in front of the player where it should not be. So the ray casting is not perfect. This is probably going to require an extra prompt to get it to perfection. But it's not done too bad. But I mean, it's definitely done worse than the base model, and it's used considerably more tokens on this one. So I'm definitely not convinced by the model in this test at least. So moving on to the MCP portion of the video now. So we start with Blender first. Now in Blender, we ask it to create a couple of assets, a marble and a gate. So on this test, the model actually reached 100% of context. We had to compact, and then we got back up to 24%. On the base model, we got up to 96.4% used, and then that was it. The job was done at that point. So again, we've used more tokens here on X high on this model, or on this fine tune rather. So let's look at the results. So we ask it to create screenshots. So initially it created these screenshots, which were a bit too zoomed in. So I was convinced already from the screenshots of the marble, but for the gate, I couldn't even see it. So I did have to reprompt the model and say, can you zoom out and take some more screenshots of the gate? And that has obviously affected the amount of tokens used, but it did not use many tokens to do this. And then if we look at the screenshots it gave us in the end, so that's what it's given us in the end. It looks pretty good, I think. So yeah, not too bad. It's a good asset. It's definitely done a good job. And if we jump into Blender, here is our result here. So we've got a bit of Z fighting, or Z fighting for my US audience over here. And then our marble down there. So the result is pretty good, what it's done in Blender. But again, it's used more tokens. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I'm starting to expect this quality from this model now. So it is really a case of token usage. And I would definitely say the extra tokens used has not really given a better result or anything. So yeah, it's okay. And then finally onto our Godot test, where we ask the model to create a simple 3D environment where the player can jump on some platforms, collect some orbs, and then reach a finish gate. So the model here has got to the end in 75% to a completed state. And with the base model, it took 79%. So it is slightly better here with this. But, you know, if you ran the test again, you could get plus or minus 5%. So I wouldn't look into that too much. Now, with this one, it's interesting. It actually had the same problem that the base model did, where it thought the player couldn't jump. So I could see the game running. I could see it controlling the character to make it jump, but it would report back that it wasn't jumping. So I had to, again, same with the base model, I had to interrupt and say, I've tested the game, the player can jump, it's fine, it's all good. And that was the only issue with this. So once I told it that, it proceeded, it got to the end, and we have our end result. If I come over to Godot now, so if I press play to run the game, so we have our environment, we can walk, we can look, we can sprint, and then we can traverse the environment here. So notice at the top corner it says orbs 1 out of 5 now, so we can collect everything. And then let me just play through this to get it to the completion state. And then we have it. Goal reached, orbs 5 out of 5, so done. So we might need a more difficult Godot test going forwards. So yeah, again, on this one, it's done it. It's done a very similar job to the base model, but I'm not really seeing less tokens being used. So it's a little bit disappointing, if I'm honest. So let's conclude. So that brings us to the end of this video on Fable Fusion. So I will note that all the tests in this video were done at X high because that's how all the tests were done for the base model. So it obviously makes sense to do this one at X high too, to do a like-for-like comparison. And they do claim that this one uses less tokens across all reasoning levels. So we should see a reduction in tokens used on this model across all the tests. But that's not really what we saw in this video. So my conclusion on this fine-tune is, for me in my test, it's not really living up to the expectation that it's setting out. Maybe we can try it in future videos at low or medium and compare it to the base model. In that, we could maybe do some head-to-head coding challenges. But for now, through my tests, I would just stick with the base model because the token usage is variable. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. But I found the outputs were better quality, and I didn't have any thinking loops with the base model either. So yeah, I'd probably give this one a miss. For now, it's on version 1.1. I know DavidAU is probably going to be tweaking this, so I will come back to it if they make an update. But yeah, for now, let's just stick with the base model. So if you guys tried this model, if you've had different results, do let me know down below in the comments section. So that'll about do it for this video then. So a big thank you to my supporters here on YouTube and on Patreon. You guys are amazing. And a big thanks to you for getting to the end of this video. I really appreciate it. So give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Bye.